Shalom Yah, Bashim Yashad Rakatham. Shalom Yah, Bashim Yashad Rakatham to all the brothers, Yah Shemar Ratham, Bashim Yashad to all the sisters. This is the I.S.U.P.K Canada service. La Yasharallah, which means to Israel. Akia Makwakia, Al-Majum, which means to stand. Sarafanya HaKodam, which means turn and face the east. We're going to say a few prayers before we get into our scripture breakdown. Again, this is the I.S.U.P.K Canada Sabbath service. I.S.U.P.K started out 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, established 1969. I'm officer as a Baja Ban Ban Yam Yam, Ban Yasharallah. We're going to say the Lord's Prayer first. You can find the Lord's Prayer, Matthew 6, verses 8 to 13. The Lord's Prayer in the Hebrew. We're going to first read it in the Hebrew, then break it down in the English. Abanawa, Shabbat Shemayam, Kodash, Salakia. Abanawa, Shabbat Shemayam, Kodash, Haya, Shamka, Yahawah, Malakwaka, Taba'ah, Ratazaka, Haya, I.S.U.P.K, Barataza, Kawak, Haya, Bashamayam, Lathananawa, Lakam, Ka, Yuwan, Wasalaknawa, Kabwaknawa, Kasalaknawa, Kabwakinawa, Wala'ah, Tabayanawa, Wanasayawan, Bal, Hawashayanawa, Mayan, Rad, Kaya, Amalakwa, Wahala, Wahatapara, La'awalamyam, Aman. What we just broke down in the Hebrew, we're going to now break down in what we just read in the Hebrew, we're now going to read in the English. Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Yahweh, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth, as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever so be it. We're going to read Psalms 121 in the Hebrew. Asha'a, Ayanya, Ahahaya, Ma'ayan, Yala'ah, Isaiah, Ma'ayin, Yahweh, Aisha, Shamayam, Wa'arataza, Al-Yathan, Lamawat, Regalka, Al-Yanawam, Shamarka, Na, La'ah, Yanawam, Wala'ah, Yayashad, Shalomar, Yasha'ala, Yahweh, Shamarka, Yahweh, Tazalka, Al-Yad, Yamyanka, Yaramam, Hashemash, La'ah, Yukaka, Wayarab, Bala Yala, Yahweh, Yashamarka, Makal Rad, Yashamar, Ashnapashka, Yahweh, Yashamar, Taza Salakia, Yashamar, Taza Athaka, Waba Wa'aka, Ma'atha, Wa'ad Iwalam. What we read in the English, what we read in the Hebrew, I will lift up my eyes onto the hills. From whence cometh my help? My help cometh from the Lord, which made heaven and earth. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. Behold, he that keepeth Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is thy keeper. The Lord is thy shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. The Lord shall preserve thy going out and thy coming in, from this time forth and even forevermore. Hakah, the prayer for power. Yahweh, Ba'asham, Yahushai, Babakashah, Yabalanah, Hakah, Hakah, Lara Pa'ah, Kal Makalah, Ukal Madawa, Hakah, Matahar, Ha Matazariah, Hakah, Laha Kwayam, Ha Matayam, Hakah, Awakawa, Ha Mata'ala, Lagarsha, Ba'asham, Yahushai, the water Aman. Lord, in the name of Yahushai, please give us the power to heal all manner of sickness and all manner of disease, the power to cleanse the leper, the power to raise the dead, the power against unclean spirits, to cast them out. In the name of Yahushai, thank you, so be it. Prayer for the power structure. Barakatah Yahweh, Wa Yahushai, Wa Mayat Ka'ara, Wa Alahayim, Matazab Ya'ah, Alawap Yahanna, Ha Alawapia, Salakia, Ha Saranyam, Ha Kwatazanyam, Ha Kaya Yalyam, Ha Kwakyam, Yahweh, Ba'asham, Yahushai, the water, Aman. What we read in the Hebrew, we're now going to read in the English. Bless you, Yahweh, and Yahushai, and Michael, and the angels, Commanding General YAHANNA, the generals, the captains, the officers, the troopers, and the sisters. Yahweh, in the name of Yahushai, thank you, so be it. Bless Israel, Yahweh, Ba'asham, Yahushai, Barak Lanawa, YAHANNA, Waha Bayat Saparia, Ba'asham, Yahushai, Tawara Aman. Lord, in the name of Yahushai, bless us and Israel and the school. Salakia. In the name of Yahushai, thank you for being. After Mount Ophir, Song of Kings and Church, will be now be seated. Officer Shariwan Imajim.
Come, sir.
Officer Shariwan, state your registry.
Officer Shariwan Ban Yamyan Ban Yasharala.
Salute.
Barak Yahbashim El Shabrakatha.
Officer Shariwan Ban Yamyan Ban Yasha Allah. Yahabashim El Shabrakatha. Salakia, you may be seated.
Come, sir.
Salakia, we got something playing in the background.
Salakia,
I think it's me.
Come.
All right, so we're going to break down Genesis, the 31st chapter, and we're going to start at verse 20. 31. Salakia. We're going to start at, I believe, verse 28 or 29. Give me one moment. Let me get it right. I just got to go to my notes for a quick second. All right, so we're going to start at verse 29. We're going to read it in the Hebrew, and then Officer Shayuan is going to read it for us in the English, and we're going to break it down. Salakia. Bear with us one moment. Bear with us one moment. Let's just get it right. Okay, so we're going to start at verse 29 in the Hebrew. This is Genesis 31, verse 29 in the Hebrew. Okay. So, Yash, La'ah, Yedayah, La'aish, Wa, Salakia, La'aish, Wa, I'm Mom, Rai, Wa Alahaya, Abba, Ya, Mom, Salakia, Amash, Amar, Aliyah, La'ah, La'amar, Hasha, Salakia, Hashamar, Lab, Madabar, Ain, Yaquad, Mata, Wab, Salakia, Matawab, I, Rad, verse 30. Wa Tha, Halam, Hala Ma, Maya, Nama Sa, Nama Sa, Salakia, Nama Sapa Tha, Laba Ya, Avayam, Lama, Gana Ba, Ad, Alahaya, 31. Salakia. Verse 31. Ya Ain, Yaquab, Ya Amar, Lalaban, Maya, Yara, Athaya, Maya, Amar, Rathia, Han, Haga, Zalab, Ad, Bana, Wa, Bayam, Ma'ai Ya, 32. Ain, Ashar, Tama, Taza'ah, Ad, Alahayam, La'a, Yaka, Ya, Nagad, Ka, Ya, Nawa, Hamad, Lam, Ma, Ma, Ya, Waka, Lam, Wala, Wala'a, Yadai, Yaquab, Maya, Waka, Gana, Ba, Tham, 33. Waya, Ba'a, Laban, Fa'a, ha, Yaquab, Waba'a, ha, La, Salakia, Waba'a, ha, La, Shafaya, Ha'a, Mata, Salakia, Ha'a, Maha, Wala'a, Mataza'a, Waya Taza'a, Ma'a, Ha, La'a, Waya, Fa, Fa'a, Ha, Waka, verse 34. Wara, Ka, Rakwa, Ka, Kaha, A, Hatha, Ra, Ha, Yam, Watha, Shamam, Wamar, Haga, Ma, Watha, Shab, Al, Salakia, Allah, Yaham, Ya, Ma, Shash, Laban, A, Ma, Ha'a, Laha, Salakia, Ha'a, Ha, Wala, Mataza'a, 35. What? Watha'a, Amar, A, Abaya, A, Yikar, Salakia, Yikar, Ba'ai, Naya, Ada, Naya, Naya, Lawa, Salakia, Awa, Ma, Salakia, Awa, Ma, Lakwa, Wam, Mapanya, Salakia, Mapa, Nayam, Naya, Deram, Nasha, Yam, Naya, Uya, Kapash, Wala'a, Mataza'a, A, Hatha, La, Panyam, verse 36. Verse 36. Uya, Kokar, La, Ya, Salakia, La, Yaquab, Uya, Ra, Bala, Ban, Uya, Ain, Yaquab, Uya, Amar, Lalaban, Ma, Pasha, Aya, Ma, Kata, Athaya, Maya, Dala, Kwa, Aka, Raya. That was the end of verse 36. So far we read Genesis 31, 29 to 36 in the Hebrew, and now we're going to break it down in English. So, can you read Genesis 29? Genesis 31, verse 29. And we're going to read to 36.
Sir. It's the book of Genesis, chapter 31, verse 29. It is in the power of my hand to do you hurt. But the God of your father spake unto me yesternight,
All right, so hold that right there, right? So this is Laban talking to Jacob, right? And as you find out, we're gonna find out why Laban is so angry, right? The Laban been a shyster. He been shysting Jacob. He been unbrotherly, absolutely unbrotherly, not keeping his word to Jacob since they met, right? And now Laban is surrounded him, and he has men with him, and he's prepared to fight Jacob and the men that were with him and his family that was with him, right? And he's letting Jacob know it's in my power to do you hurt right now. I can hurt you right now, right? But his Lord, the Father of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, right? The God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob came to Laban in a dream or a vision, what you might have it, and he told him not to do anything. Don't speak evil, don't speak any good to him. Just don't speak to him at all. Right? Keep reading.
Come, saying, take thou heed that thou speak not to Jacob either good or bad.
Right. So he's letting him know. He's warning him. That's what the take heed is. It's a warning. He's warning him. Listen, acknowledge not to speak to him good or bad. Don't speak to him any type of way, good or bad. Right? Meaning, don't speak any evil to him, and don't tell him about the good things that you have for him. Because as you read, as you read up or back, you find out that all the things that Jacob was saying, that Laban was saying to Jacob, it was a lie. It's like when you tell someone, okay, adults do this all the time to children, right? Where they'll tell a child, listen, if you do your homework or you eat your vegetables, I will give you some ice cream, right? The child eats his vegetables and then they don't give him ice cream, right? It's like an employer. Now, to put it in a way that most adults can understand, right? If you're an adult, you could definitely understand this. The harder you work, the more you get paid. If you work really hard, I'm going to give you a raise. And then you break your back working for your employer, and he doesn't give you a raise. You might have to go on strike, or you might have to leave that slavery to get that raise. You can keep reading.
Verse 30. And now, though thou wouldest needs be gone, because thou sore longest after thy father's house, yet wherefore hast thou stolen my gods?
Right. So he's saying, listen, you're going back home now, right? But you stole one of my gods, right? And that's what earlier last Sabbath service Laban said you ran off with my daughters and my grandchildren, and I didn't even get to say goodbye, right? That's what we read before, and now you're hearing that Laban, he's not angry about his grandchildren. He's not angry about missing his daughters. He's angry because an idol, a false god, is missing from his place. Keep reading.
Verse 31. And Jacob answered and said to Laban, because I was afraid, for I said, peradventure, thou wouldest take by force thy daughters from me.
Right. So Jacob's answering him like, "This is why I left. I was afraid that if I said I wanted to leave, you would have taken your daughters from me." Right. And Jacob believes this for a good reason, right? Because he's unbrotherly. This is to let you know, like, when you build a reputation for yourself, it's hard to convince people otherwise of your reputation, right? The ISUPK has a reputation of being the men of the Lord, being such a strict place, being the total opposite from the Christian church, from the Muslim mosque, from the Amalek synagogues, or any group that has fringes on T-shirts, right? This is such a strict place that we get that reputation of being a cult, right? Because you can't come in here and spread evil. We'll kick you out. You don't get to come in and spread evil. Jacob had a reputation of being Salakia. Laban had a reputation of being evil to his brother, of being a liar, of being someone who doesn't keep his word, right? Even though these are Jacob's wives now, Jacob feared that Laban would try to take his wives away from him, right? You see this further, like as you go deeper into history, or in this case, because we're at Genesis, as you go further into the history, right? You found out that Saul did the same thing with David, right? Where he gave him a wife and then took her away, right? Saul's daughter. Keep reading.
Come. Verse 32. With whomsoever thou findest thy gods, let him not live.
Right. Hold that right there. So Jacob's telling him, listen, we ain't taking nothing. Whosoever you find these gods with, let that man be put to death. Because we don't worship that God anyways, and this man is worshiping an idol. Right? Let him be put to death. Keep reading.
Before our brethren discern thou what is thine with me, and take it to thee. For Jacob knew not that Rachel had stolen them.
Now, Jacob doesn't know that Rachel took these. Jacob doesn't know that Rachel took these idols, right? She grew up with these idols. Rachel took these idols because she loved these idols, right? Laban didn't give them anything that he said he was going to give them. He said he was going to give them money and inheritance, and he never did, right? Jacob turned around and got everything of Laban's, right? Jacob turned around and got everything of Laban's, right? So Rachel took the one thing she could. She took the idols. This was wrong of her to do. She should have never taken these idols because as Israelites, we don't worship idols, right? We don't worship idols. We worship a living God, right? You can go around the world and you'll see the cultures that worship idols. They're either going through war, they're going through some type of turmoil, or they just don't exist no more. The people who built the Stonehenge, who are they? No one knows for certain, right? The Druids, Salakia, not to say no one knows for certain, the Druids are not around no more, right? No one could ask them, why did you build these Stonehenge? They would have told you they were worshiping them. They're not here no more, right? People go to, where is Mecca? The people go to some place called Mecca, right? Because they want to worship Allah. They want to worship a rock deity, right? If you at Officer Shariwan has a good breakdown, not Officer Shariwan, Salakia, Officer Adiyar has a good breakdown of these rock idols, Allah, the daughters, right, of Ishmael, right? And you find out that what they did was they just took all their idols. They had a god for every day, and now they have different idols that they worship. And one of those idols would be Allah, the Kaaba stone, right? Yearly, people die there being trampled, or they get herpes from kissing it. Imagine 1,000 people kissing a rock, and good night. The herpes that's just going around and the flare-ups. Good night. That is such a terrible thing to want to worship an idol. I've seen brothers and sisters talk about, I can't wait to make my pilgrimage to Mecca. And it's like, for what? How is that going to help
Right.
you? How is a pilgrimage to Mecca going to stop a police officer from killing you? How is the pilgrimage to Mecca going to stop all the drugs and all the curses that we see in our community? Right? We seen a very emotional man slap another brother over a whore, over a disgusting female. Right? This man literally cooned out in front of everybody, right? In a room full of white people, How does a pilgrimage to Mecca stop that? Right? The
Right.
only thing that's going to stop that is this right here. Right? And you don't have to get on a plane flight to go get this to stop it. You don't have to make some pilgrimage to a rock, kiss a rock, and bow down to a piece of Salakia. You don't have to bow down to an element, right? An element to receive some type of salvation. What you have to do is love your brother. Laban did not love his brother. He hated Jacob because he lied to him. He damn near stole from him. He mistreated him. Right? If you mistreat a brother, it's a terrible sin. Right? Because in times of war, right now we're watching the previews to the war that's coming. Right? We're watching little battles that are flaring up. And one thing you're gonna realize is that you need brotherhood in this time. That's the only thing that matters. Keep reading.
Come. Salakia.
You were at
Did
verse
I
33.
finish verse? Salakia, what's that, sir?
Read verse 33.
32?
33.
33. Come.
No swear.
Verse 33. And Laban went into Jacob's tent.
Right. So Laban, he's searching the grounds now because Jacob set up camp. Right. He has a journey to go. Right. Laban didn't find out he was there for a couple. He wasn't there for a couple of days. So he had a journey to go. He's trying to get back to his father's where his father is before his father gets too old. Right. And Jacob is now searching these tents. So he starts with Jacob's tent. Right. Keep reading.
And into Leah's tent.
Then he went into his daughter's tent, right? So that means he didn't find nothing in Jacob's tent. The reason he didn't find nothing in Jacob's tent is because Jacob worshipped his Lord. Jacob was obedient to his power. Jacob didn't go seeking after other powers. So many blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, because the oppressor is such an oppressor and we don't know who we are, they go seeking after the other gods. Right? They think that the other gods are going to free them and stop this oppressor from breaking your neck and clobbering you with a nightstick or tasing you to death or like Salakia. Oppressors, have you ever seen an oppressor, a gang of oppressors arrest a black man? Right? The black man, they'll say, put your hands behind your back now. If the black man's not afraid of prison, he's just gonna say, you know what? I'm good in jail. I'm gonna be out. I'm gonna get bail. I'll be home in a week or 2 days, a couple hours, depending on where you do your slavery. Right? In Canada, you gotta spend one night in a holding cell before you can see the judge. In America, you might be able to see the judge within a couple hours. Right? But a black man, he puts his hand behind his back. Then you have 3 police officers tackle him, right? You see 20 more police officers just appear out of nowhere, and they
Right.
all start dogpiling on the brother, right? A lot of times the brother will say, "I can't breathe," and this is how we get what happened to Eric Garner. They dogpiled that brother, and they didn't receive any punishment from it, right? For their actions for murdering that brother. Christ is going to punish them. Keep reading. Or read that part one more time.
Come. And Laban went into Jacob's tent and into Leah's tent.
So he goes into Jacob's tent. He goes into his daughter's tent, right? This is the daughter that Jacob didn't want to marry her, but he kept her because he knew what the Lord thought about sex. He knows that sex is marriage. And this is why Will Smith is dead wrong, talking about he's defending his wife, right? He wasn't defending his wife. He was defending everybody's wife. Because Jada Pinkett is everybody's wife, right? She hops from rod to rod, right? She hops from rod to rod, and she sleeps with her son's best friend, right? So Jacob went into Leah's tent. So like Laban went into Leah's tent. He went into Jacob's tent. He went into those tents, and he didn't find anything. Absolutely nothing. Right. So like Officer Charlie one, can you keep reading?
Come. And into the two maidservants' tents.
Right. So he went into the two maidservants' tents, and it wasn't there. Right. Whatever he was looking for was not there. Can you keep reading?
But he found them not. Then went he out of Leah's tent and entered into Rachel's tent.
Right. So he went into Jacob's tent, Leah's tent, the two maids, right? And the two maidservants, and nothing, he didn't find those idols. Then he went into Rachel's tent, right? Rachel's sleeping quarters, right? And he's looking for them, right? Keep reading, you can read 34.
Come. Verse 34. Now Rachel had taken the images and put them in the camel's furniture and sat upon them.
Hold that right there, right? So Rachel, because she had the idols, she wanted to keep them, right? Because she liked these idols. She grew up worshiping these idols. Laban was not of the Lord, right? This is what you have to remember. Laban was not of the Lord. When you raise your son or your daughter to not be of the Lord, that's how they're going to be in their adulthood, right? This is why it's so hard for so many brothers and sisters, especially sisters, to not celebrate their birthday. Right? It's so hard for brothers and sisters to not celebrate the days of the oppressor. Right? Keep reading.
And Laban searched all the 10, but found them not.
Right. So he searched all the tents and found them not. Right? So look, Rachel, she's sitting on these idols. Right? And you're gonna find out as we read on, you're gonna find out how she hid them and why she hid them, right? Well, the why is she loved them and she was trying to spite her father, but she hid them nevertheless. It was absolutely wrong for her to do. She should have not did it. Keep reading.
Verse 35. And she said to her father, let it not displease my Lord, that I cannot rise up before thee.
Right. So she's telling her father, listen, I'm sitting down because I have to. Right. Keep in mind that she's sitting down on top of these idols, so her father doesn't find them. Keep reading.
For the custom of women is upon me.
Keep reading.
And he searched, but found not the images.
Right. So she basically told her father, I cannot get up from the position that I'm sitting in right now because she's on her monthly. Right. In the Bible it tells you that when a woman is on the custom of woman, which is her monthly, she's unclean for that period of time. Right. This is something that Moses put later into the law. Right? But she told her father, I cannot get up right now. She was hiding the idols, and she used that as the reason as why she cannot get up and why he's not going to be able to find them. Keep reading.
Verse 36. And Jacob was wroth and chode with Laban.
Right, so Jacob was angry because it's like being accused of stealing and you've never stole anything. Like someone says, I know you stole my stuff, and you're like, what the hell are you talking about? I did not steal anything. Right? And he sat there and he chode with Laban. Officer Shaywan, can you get the definition for that word chode? Let's see if we can find it in our Zondervan. Let's see if we can find it in the Zondervan or in the right. We got two sets of. It's always good to have a Ultimate Bible Dictionary. We got this from a brother out of Montreal the last time we went. He donated a bunch of them to the school. Give that brother a hand, right? And you should always have a Zondervan's Pictorial Bible Dictionary. For times when you see words in the Bible, you might not get to call your camp leader right away. If you want to figure out what that word is, you might be able to find it in your Zondervan's Pictorial Bible Dictionary. Right? So the word we're looking for is cho.
Salaki Adawan. I have a definition here.
Khan.
It means to strive, to contend, physically or with words. That is grapple, mostly figuratively to wrangle. That is hold a controversy.
Okay, that's good. That's good because you got it within the first one, right? So Jacob argued with him because it wasn't going to get physical because Jacob was outnumbered. He wasn't trying to get physical, right? So he argued with him. And you see this argument all the time. This argument happens every day in your neighborhoods. You see it. Someone will argue with someone about something they think the person did, right? And it turns out they didn't do it. And when they turn around and actually look for it, or actually get counsel for the situation, you'll find out, listen, whatever you were looking for was never lost in the first place. So he chose with Laban. Keep reading, and Jacob answered.
Khan. And Jacob answered and said to Laban, what is my trespass? What is my sin that thou hast so hotly pursued after me? Oh, Salaki Adawan, you're on mute.
God, go on. He's checking him. What the hell did I do that now makes you pursue after me? That now makes you think that I trespassed against you. What is my sin? Right? And a sin is a transgression of the law. That so whenever a Christian says they don't want to sin, just ask them what sin is, right? And ask them where the law that Christ was reading, that Christ was following. Where is that law? Right. A Christian, 9 times out of 10, a Christian is going to go hubbada, hubbada, hubbada. Because they'll turn around and then have to say, well, the law is in the Old Testament. Right. But because a Christian is filled with lust, they don't want to have to admit that they have to still follow the law. Right. Okay, we're going to continue reading again. We're going to read. We're going to read Genesis 31 verses 37 to 37 to 43 in the Hebrew, right? So again, where we're leaving off is Jacob is checking Laban because Laban is accusing, has searched him, has gone through his things, right? Made it seem like Jacob was being unbrotherly to Laban, when Laban has been unbrotherly to Jacob for 20 years. 20 years of working for this man, and he's just been a total deceiving brother to this man. All right, so 37 to 43. This is Genesis 37. So Genesis 31 verse 37. Maya, Masha, Shah, Ad, Ma, Mala, Yam, Salakia. Mala, Ya, Yama, Mataza'at, Mama, Malaya, Baya, Thumb, Shayam, Ma, Nagad, Akaya, Wa'akayam, Waya, Salakia, Waya, Wama, Yakakawa, Bayan, Shana, Ya Nawa, 38, Zaha, Aisha, Rayam, Shana, Hana, Maya, Imam, Zaka, Layam, Wa I Zayam, La'a, Shema, Wa A Ya Laya, Taza'a, Nawa, Salaki, Taza'a Nawam, La'a, Amam, Salaki, Amma, Thaya, 39, Tara, Pa, La'a, Haba, Thaya, Alayam, Anamaya, Aka, Na, Maya, Daya, Taba, Kwa, Na, Gana, Ba, Daya, Yawam, Waga, Naba, Daya, Laya, La. Verse 40. Haya, Daya, Waya, Wam, Amma, Amala, Laya, Kara, Waka, Ra, Bala, Laya, Salakia, Bala, Yala, Wathad, Salakia, Wathad died, Shana, Thaya, Ma'ai, Yanaya, 41, Za, Thaya, Salakia, Aisha, Rayam, Shana, Baba, Ya, Tham, Ibad, Salakia, Ibad, Thayam, Ara, Ba'a, Aisha, Ra, Shana, Basha, Thaya, Bana, Thayam, Washa, Salakia, Washash, Shana, Yam, Bataza, Anam, Watha, Lapa, Salakia, Waka, Salakia, Watha, La, Masha, Mar, Thaya, Aisha, Ra, Mana, Yam, 42, Lavwa, Laya, Alahaya, Alaya, Alahaya, Abba, Raham, Wapa, Kad, Yataza, Kat, Hazah, Laya, Maya, Etha, Raya, Kram, Malak, Fa, Naya, Ain, Ya, Wa'ah, Yaga, Ya'ai, Mapa, Ya, Ra'ah, Alahayim, Waya, Wayam, Ma, Amash, 43. Waya Ain, Laban, Waya Amar, Al, Yaquad, Abba, Nawad, Bana, Hiya, Waha, Banyam, Banya, Waha, Ataza, Na, Tiza, Anaya, Wama, Shah, Ah, Ra'ah, Laya, Hawa'ah, Wala, Walaban, Tiya, Ma, Aisha, La, Haya, Wan, Awad, Laban, Ya, Han, Ashad, Yalada, Salakia, Yalada. That was the end of verse 43. We're going to break down into English now, Genesis 31, 37 to 43.
This is Genesis chapter 29, Salakia, Genesis 31 and verse 37. Whereas thou hast searched all my stuff, what hast thou found of all thy household stuff?
So again, Jacob's checking Laban. He's asking him, listen, you searched everything. What did you find? Right? Because Laban didn't find the idols. And any man accused of something he didn't do is going to be vexed, is going to be angry, is going to be wroth. Jacob didn't know what Leah did. Right? He didn't know what Leah did. Keep reading.
Set it here before my brethren and thy brethren, that they may judge betwixt us both.
Right. So he's saying, set up here between thy brethren, right, and between us, like between everybody. Everybody's gonna witness now what you found. Now present it, right? And Laban had nothing to present. Keep reading.
Verse 38. This 20 years have I been with thee.
Right. So now Jacob is checking Laban again, right? He's checking him. He's letting him know, listen, first off, you accused me, you surrounded me, you accused me, you searched all my things, presented in front of all of us, right? He had nothing to present, and this is one thing you always have to remember, right? If you accuse something of someone, if you accuse someone of something, make sure you have evidence to back up your claim.
Right.
Right? Especially in here. And here, listen, you go to a brother one-on-one, it doesn't work out, you go to counsel. Once you accuse that brother and you go to counsel, make sure you have what you have to back up your claim. Right? Keep reading.
Come. Thy ewes and thy she-goats have not cast their young.
Right, so Salakia, Baba Kashak, can you read it one more time from the top?
Come. This 20 years have I been with thee. Thy ewes and thy she-goats have not cast their young.
Right. So Jacob worked 7 years for Rachel, didn't get her, slept with Leah on accident because it was nighttime. You have a party, and I can only imagine the strong that they were drinking then. Listen, the strong right now will put a brother on his backside. I can only imagine the strong that they were drinking then, right? How strong was the strong from then? Right? He didn't know he was with Leah. He woke up and found out it was Leah and realized it wasn't Rachel and kept Leah and still worked for Rachel at every 7 years. That was 14 years. Was ready to leave and told Laban, listen, I'm gonna work for another 6 years, which equals 20 years for you to just pay me for the things that you owe, right? Basically, he's going to tend to his sheep for another 6 years, and they're going to divide the sheep so Jacob can get his wages. Right? Keep reading.
Come. And the rams of thy flock have I not eaten.
Right. So he's saying, listen, your sheep, the female sheep you have, the female goats you have, they haven't miscarried. They've all been giving you Salakia. They've all been fertile. They've all been producing other sheep and goats, right? And rams. Salakia, let me just catch up with you. He said he's letting them know I haven't even eaten anything of your flock. Everything I've had, I've worked for myself. Keep reading.
Verse 39. That which was torn of beasts I brought not unto thee.
Right. So he's letting Jacob know, like, listen, you've been prosperous. I've made you money for 20 years. And all I want to do is go home. Right? I haven't stolen from you. I haven't dishonored you. Right? I've worked for you for 20 years. I've made you your business money. Now I'm trying to go home to take care of my affairs and my businesses. Right? That's the best way to think of it. Right? That's exactly what this is saying. It's like you work for an oppressor or you work for an employee for years, right? And now it's time for you to go about your business, and they don't want you to. They want to sabotage what you're doing because they know that they don't want you to leave because after you leave, everything goes back to what it was before. Keep reading.
I bear the loss of it. Of my hand didst thou require it.
Right. So he's letting them know that the beast, Salakia, the cattle and the sheep that were torn of beasts, right? The cattle and the sheep that were like if a lion came by and killed a goat, right? Jacob bore the loss of it. He paid for it, right? The beasts that read that one more time.
Come. I bear the loss of it.
Right?
Of
He
my
bear the
hand
loss of
didst
it
thou
himself,
require it.
right? His hand did as thou require it. He's saying, listen, anytime something happened to one of your sheep, which is gonna happen, if everyone knows that, well, Salaki, not everyone. If you haven't been on a farm, if you've never raised cattle, you never know this. Listen, some type of carnivore is gonna come and look for food on your farm because you have the food on your farm, right? And anytime there was a beast of the field that ate one of Jacob's flock, right? Laban required it from Jacob. There was no compassion. He said, "Listen, if that happened, you still have to pay for it." Keep reading.
Come. Whether stolen by day or stolen by night.
Right. In the daytime, a shepherd can see an animal on the prowl trying to attack another one of the flocks, right? A shepherd, a diligent shepherd is going to see that, right? In the nighttime, a shepherd is asleep. It's sleeping. It's a nighttime thing, right? It's a sneak attack. Regardless of if it was daytime or nighttime. In the nighttime, it's much more difficult to protect the flock. Laban required it from Jacob. He required him to make it right. Right? Laban again was just a brother who didn't give a damn about Jacob. He was unbrotherly. You see this with a lot of black celebrities who turn around and hire black people. They are unbrotherly to their own, while they absolutely will give the oppressor any type of benefit of the doubt, or they just won't. Right? So there's a saying that's going around right now, right? With this Will Smith thing, right? Will Smith got up and slapped a black man who he knew was not going to slap him back, right? People are saying, well, if this was an oppressor, would he have done it, right? Will Smith most likely would have not have slapped an oppressor because oppressors have been making fun of Will Smith the whole time, right? Will Smith was unbrotherly. You see it a lot with people of power where they just become unbrotherly to their own. Keep reading.
Come. Thus I was in the day the drought consumed me, and the frost by night, and my sleep departed from mine eyes.
Right. Listen, he's saying, listen, I had to stay up down there all night sometimes just to make sure that the flock was all right. Right? He said in the day the drought consumed me, meaning if he had to walk for miles with these sheep, that's what he did, regardless of if he had water or not. In the nighttime, it's much colder in the nighttime no matter where you are. You could be in the tropical. In the nighttime, it is cold because the sun is not up. He said the frost would get me, right? Regardless, he would stay up to make sure that flock was all right. Keep reading.
Come. Verse 41. Thus have I been 20 years in thy house. I served thee 14 years for thy 2 daughters, and 6 years for thy cattle.
Right. So he's saying, listen, I've been in your house for 20 years. I served, right? And he's letting him know, like, what you're doing is unbrotherly. You're pursuing me for some missing idol that I don't have, but I've worked for you for 20 years, regardless of how many times you burned me or flock. As black people, we know that like burning a black person means like you're not brotherly to that person. You're taking advantage,
Right.
right? He's letting them know I've worked for you for 20 years. You shiced me, you burned me, or what so have it. You just been unbrotherly, right? And that's what he's checking them on. Why are you pursuing it? If you have it, present it. Keep reading.
And thou hast changed my wages 10 times.
Right. So he's saying in 20 years you've changed my wages 10 times. Only a person who doesn't want to pay you is going to change your wages like that. Right? And imagine working. Listen, brothers and sisters work for 2 weeks, and if $1 missing, they're upset.
Right.
It's listen, everybody in the household, everybody in the employment agency or wherever they do their slavery is going to feel the brunt of $1 missing from that paycheck. It could be just $1, right?
Yeah.
And it's going to be an issue. An employee doesn't pay you on time, right? You're supposed to get paid Friday and you don't get that paycheck Friday. In your mind is, F this job, I'm not going back Monday, right? Jacob said, you changed my wages 10 times in 20 years. Just imagine that, working for 20 years and still not getting the correct payment that you're supposed to get,
Right.
right? That's to show you how much he had, so much love he had for Leah, that he was willing to work 20 years to make sure that he could keep his family. Keep reading.
Right. Verse 42. Except the God of my father, the God of Abraham, and the fear of Isaac had been with me.
Right. So he's saying, listen, he feared the Lord. His Lord was with him. So he didn't really have no fear. This is why he's doing what he's doing now, because the Lord has been with him. And this is why you, Salakia, one moment. This is why you'll be able to see the men of the Lord in the I.S.U.P.K on the street corners, in the most dangerous neighborhoods, in the most dangerous of situations, in front of the hordes of heathens, right? Going, listen, a bunch of brothers in the truck in the middle of the night driving through cartel country where they absolutely kill everything that comes against them. Brothers fear the Lord. We don't fear man or the world, right? Keep reading.
Surely thou hast sent me away now empty.
And he's checking and he's saying, listen, you changed my wages 10 times in 10 years. You gave me the wrong daughter to marry. You were going to change my wages. You were going to send me away empty. And you were going to make sure that we had nothing. Keep reading.
God hath seen mine affliction and the labor of mine hands, and rebuked thee yesternight.
He said, listen, the Lord sees everything you're doing and he rebuked it. He rebuked it yesterday night. And that's the dream that he's talking about that Laban had. Right? Laban was saying the Lord came to him in a dream. Jacob saying, I fear my father. I obey him, and he seen what you did and he rebuked it, right? There's a precept that says, Salaki, I'm gonna paraphrase it. Officer Shah Yuan, Baba Shah. Can you pull this precept a when the Lord I'm gonna look for it right now. But I'm gonna paraphrase it, right? When you're a friend of the Lord, your enemies become his enemies. Salakia.
Concert.
I'm gonna paraphrase it. I'm gonna see if I can find it, the right one. Hold up, let me find it. Let's see if we can find it. But it's basically talking about when you obey the Lord and you're a friend of the Lord, which means you keep his commandment, he'll make those that come up against you, your enemies will now become his enemies. Can you get me Exodus 23 and 22, Baba Shah?
Come. It's like Exodus 23 and verse what?
22.
Come. And it reads, but if thou shalt indeed obey his voice and do all that I speak, then I will be an enemy unto thine enemies, and an adversary unto thine adversaries.
Right. And this is basically what Jacob's letting Laban know. Like, listen, I obeyed the Lord. He seen what you did. He threatened you. Right? He told you not. He told you to leave me alone. Because when you obey the Lord, whatever is against you, the Lord takes on. Right? And that's like a good father. A good father. Now imagine a brother getting up on stage to slap another brother over something that doesn't obey him, over some Salakia, some hoe in the world that does not obey her husband, right? How can you protect the next man's wife, right? And act like that's your wife. That's not your wife, right? Salakia, we got 1,000 cuts for brothers like Will Smith and the Captain Simps of the world, right? Right? In the world, they call him Captain Saberhole. We're changing that right now. It's Captain Will Simp. You are a Captain Will Simp, and if you are a hoe or a hoe, you're a Jada, right? Keep reading.
Slovakia, I don't know.
Con, Salaki, you could go back to Genesis. We were in Genesis, where were we?
Concert, shut
Genesis,
that down.
Salakia?
Slack ahead, shut that down. Um,
No sweat.
Genesis 31,
31, you could go to 43.
43.
Con.
Con.
That was the last scripture we were at.
Con, sir. And Laban answered and said unto Jacob, these daughters are my daughters, and these children are my children, and these cattle are my cattle, and all that thou seest is mine. And what can I do this day unto these my daughters, or unto their children which they have borne?
Right. So Laban realizes there's nothing he could do, right? But he's trying to now save face. He's trying to say these are his daughters. He gave his daughters away. Those women are now Jacob's property, right? Those children, yes, they be his grandchildren, but those are Jacob's children. Laban has absolutely no control over them. And this is what the Lord was telling him. Don't say anything good or evil to him, right? Because the good things you say are going to be a lie. You're going to lie to this man, right? And you cannot trick him. The evil things you are going to say, the Lord is basically in short telling them, I'm going to punish you for it. A lot of times the Lord's punishment equals death, right? A lot of the Lord's punishment is death. You either die today or you die 30 years from now. Either way, you die, right? And you will die Salakia. The death that you're going to die is not going to be good. Right now, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, because you don't listen to the Lord about not being a witch and not being evil to your brothers and sisters and selling drugs, he has you go to jail. In jail, horrible things might happen to you. I don't think I have to explain it. Everybody knows someone who's been to jail, or you've heard the stories of weak men in jail. In jail, you have to get on your warrior because you cannot take a single punch. You cannot take a single punk. You cannot get punked off like Chris Rock, right? Because as soon as you do, that's when someone's going to try and sell your manhood, right? That's why Chris Rock, after those awards, after those Edomites in the room, Chris Rock should have hauled off on Will Smith, regardless of if he lose, right? Now, this is one thing you're going to find out, right? When you stand up for yourself, you get more respect. When you don't, well, you become the butt of the joke, right? And when you don't stand up for yourself, someone's going to always look to take advantage of you. Right. So again, these were Jacob's wives and children, and Laban. He's trying to save face. He's trying to, as you read on, if you read up, you'll find out that he turns around and makes a contract with Jacob, another oath, right? But this is why the Lord was telling him, don't speak to him because you're just going to turn around and lie, right? And it's better to show your brothers brotherhood. Brotherhood is the most important thing. Sisterhood is brotherhood. Brotherhood is sisterhood. It's all one. It's the same thing. It just depends on how you say it, right? Brotherhood encompasses sisterhood. So a lot of times we just say brotherhood, but you have to show brotherhood to your brothers and sisters. Be a brother. Be a good brother. A father is still a brother, right? So with that said, we're going to finish our reading that right there. We're going to come back next week and continue. We're going to say the Lord's Prayer real quick and close out the class. Yeah. So with that said, men of Israel, Akwati Machar Imagine, Sa'apanya Hakudam, which means turn your face to east. Imagine means to stand. We're going to read the Lord's Prayer in the Hebrew, and then we're going to read it in the English. The Lord's Prayer, you can find it in Matthew chapter 6, verses 8 to 13. Abanawa. Shabbat Shemayim. Kodash.
Kodash.
Hayah.
Ayah.
Shaka.
Shamka,
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Malakwaka,
Malakwaka,
Saba'a,
Labaha,
Ratazaka,
Ratazaka,
Aya,
Aya,
Aisha,
Misha,
Barataza,
Rataza,
Kawat,
Wa,
Aya,
Aya,
Bashamayam,
Bashamayam,
Lathanawa,
Lathan Lanao,
Kwam,
Lakam,
Ha,
Ba,
Yawam,
Yawam,
Wasalaknawa,
Salak Lanao,
Kalbaknawa,
Bath now,
Kasalaknawa,
Salak now,
Kalwatinawa,
Bath you know,
Wala'a,
Wala, Tabaya,
Tabayanawa, Vanasaiwan,
one say one,
Abal,
Ball,
Hawashinawa,
Shai now,
Mayan,
Mayan,
Rai,
Rai,
Kaya,
Kaya,
Ha,
Waka,
Amalakwa,
Malakwa,
Wahala,
Wahala,
Wahathapara,
Wathapara,
La'ai Walamyam, Aman,
Lamim, Aman,
our Father,
our Father,
which art in heaven,
which art in heaven,
hallowed be thy name,
hallowed be thy name,
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
thy kingdom come,
thy kingdom come,
thy will be done in earth,
thy will be done in earth,
as it is in heaven.
as it is in heaven.
Give us this day
Give us this day
our daily bread,
our daily bread.
and forgive us our debts,
Forgive us our debts,
as we forgive our
as
debtors.
we forgive our debtors.
Lead us not into temptation,
Lead us not into temptation.
but deliver us from evil.
Deliver us from evil.
For thine is the kingdom,
For thine is the kingdom,
and the power,
and the power,
and the glory,
and the glory,
forever so be it.
forever so be it.
With that said, men of Israel, I'm Sar, which means turn. Men of Israel, we're going to give the brothers a courtesy salute, then the sisters, and we're going to end the class. Men of Israel, I'm Shabbat, I'm Barak, Yahweh
Yahweh Shema
Bashem,
Shar Barakatham.
Yajamata, men of Israel, Sar to the sisters. We're going to give the sisters a courtesy salute. Men of Israel, I'm Shabbat, I'm Barak,
Yahweh Shema
Yahweh
Lathan Bashina Shai.
Yajamata, men of Israel, Sar, class dismissed.